Hi guys, welcome back. So today we've got this BMW 2002 in for a whole range of upgrades, including but not limited to throttle body conversion and a stroker conversion for this S14 equipped 2002. But before we jump into it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, also notification bell, that you won't miss if our new videos go live. So let's jump straight into this and head into the engine bay and explain to you exactly what we're going to be doing to this 2002. Okay, so we're in the engine bay of the 2002, and obviously we've got a S14 from an E30 M3 that's already been transplanted into here. Now this is obviously going to be where the majority of the work's going to be undertaken. Some of the highlights, well, one of the biggest things we're going to be doing is doing a stroker conversion on this engine. So taking it from its current capacity all the way up to 2.7, and with that, that's obviously going to involve like arrow rods, some Marley pistons to our own spec, some custom headwork, obviously porting, flowing it, combustion chamber changes, things like that, upgraded cams, valve train. Essentially the whole entire engine, top end and bottom end, is going to be optimized. Now power wise, we're not really 100% sure, to be completely honest, how much power it's going to make, but a 2.5 usually makes over sort of about 300 horsepower, and we're obviously going a step further with this as well, with going to 2.7. As well as that, we are swapping over from the stock intake over to AT power throttle bodies. So the AT power throttle bodies, obviously we've used them on Ryan's E30 and a couple of other cars. They've worked very, very well. The shaftless design as well, which hopefully get a little bit more airflow into the engine for the given size of the actual throttle bodies themselves. And something a little bit different we're going to be doing on this, which is actually what we did on Ryan's car as well, is going to be moving away from the cable operated throttle to a drive-by-wire. So that's going to mean that we're going to have a throttle actuator, electronic throttle actuator, actuating the throttles for us. So instead of having like a cable operation, it's going to be fully electric, which some people might not like, but it's the best way to do these cars really. If you want to sort of like update them, optimize them fully, you're only really going to be able to do that with the electronic throttle and have complete control over it. So let me just unlock my phone again, because there's a massive long list of parts we've got on here. So obviously to manage all of that, we're going to be installing an EFI Euro 4 ECU and have it all mapped by Longman, as he did our E30 as well. So that's essentially the engine side of things, and then as well as that, we're going to be upgrading the radiator. So at the moment we've got a standard E30 M3 water radiator in there, which is looking quite tired. It's going to be a number of years old now, so ideally we'd replace it with obviously like a standard one, but let's go a step further, upgrade it with a CSF all aluminium radiator. So it's going to be a bit thicker, a bit more efficient than the standard design, and then also CSF all cooler as well. So there's going to be no problems in keeping this engine operating in sort of like the higher power ranges consistently. We're keeping the coolant and the oil nice and consistent. As well as that, replacing the factory like rubber hoses with some Samco silicone hoses. So replacing all of those old sort of like perishing hoses being no problem with any reliability there. One of the things I forgot to mention as part of the electronics upgrade, we're going to be moving away from the distributor. So we're going to have directly plug-on coil for this, probably swapping over to something from the VAG group range, something like that. Sorry for swearing. And then also we're going to be removing the relay and fuse box from the car. Obviously this is taking up a lot of space within the engine bay at the moment. So we're going to move away to a PDM unit. So essentially like a solid state fuse box that we're going to have inside the car. So it's going to tidy up a lot of this engine bay, win back a bit of space, and again just fully update the electronics. As well as that, we're going to be moving away from the standard header tank, washer bottle, the brake fluid reservoir, going to be upgrading all of those to radium engineering, chase bay items. The fueling systems obviously getting upgraded as well, so going with some higher flow injectors, adjustable fuel pressure regulator, all that kind of stuff. As well as that, one of the upgrades we're going to be doing on this is converting the car to electric power steering as well. So that's going to be a very nice upgrade for sort of like the driving experience. So I think that's pretty much everything. A couple of things I actually did forget was the one of the problems that we came across on the E30 was the the starter motor. So obviously with a high compression engine, there's a little bit more demand or a little bit more work that needs to be done by the starter motor. So upgrading that item to a Wasp starter motor, so a little bit higher output, so it'll be able to crank over the engine a little bit more powerfully, overcome that sort of like higher compression and get it nice and started. And the alternator as well, upgrading to a Wasp Motorsport item. The sort of like the original race car items are getting a little bit hard to come by, and the original alternators tend to sort of like fail in a similar way, whereby the rubber deteriorates, cracks, and basically fails, so it's no longer mounted securely. So the Wasp one is a fully billet design. It's not going to have any of the same issues with failure as what the standard item has. So that's pretty much everything inside the engine bay. May have missed out a couple of bits. There might be some bits that are added or changed throughout the series, but that is essentially the engine. So let's chat about the brakes next. Okay, so over to the brakes. So this particular 2002 has already had a little bit of a mild upgrade. Some of you might have noticed that it does have disc brakes on the back and hasn't got the standard brakes on the front of this car. So we're going to be going a step further on this particular model. We're going to be installing a brake booster in there, so obviously reducing the pedal effort from inside the car a little bit, sort of keeping in with the electronic power steering update, so it's easier to obviously sort of like drive this car. As well as that, we're going for AP Racing brakes front and rear, so 4 piston calipers on the front and rear of the car, as well as having an integral handbrake as well. So a nice big brake upgrade. This particular customer isn't going for any suspension upgrade, or no suspension upgrade is planned at the moment. Might have to reconsider it once it's making over 300 horsepower, but at the moment it's not planned. So we're over to the back end of the 2002, so the final part of the video. So exhaust system wise, the customer is intended on keeping the current exhaust system that's fitted to the car. We have advised that we should probably consider upgrading the manifolds, the rest of the exhaust system, but we'll probably find that out a little bit later as we come to tune the car, if it is or isn't a restriction, and especially once we sort of like try and separate it from the engine as well. Hopefully that won't cause us any issues. And obviously in the back we've also got the differential in this car, so we're upgrading it from a factory open diff or LSD. I'm not sure exactly what is in this car. Obviously once we open it up we'll be able to show you, but with WaveTrack we do a upgraded differential for this car, so we're installing that, so this car should be able to put down the power just as well as it makes it. Okay, so that is pretty much everything to do with this 2002 project. We'll be bringing you more updates as we progress over the coming weeks. There might be some big gaps between the videos because obviously we'll be waiting on certain parts, like the pistons have quite a long lead time, sort of 12 to 16 weeks. And hopefully some of the other parts are going to come a little bit sooner, but that's everything. And if you've got any questions, put the questions in the comments and we'll get back to you, let you know any answers, any that obviously we know, and yeah, see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch other videos of ours that YouTube thinks you'll like, then click up here. If you'd like to watch some other videos that we have in the same playlist, then click here. And obviously if you enjoyed the video, then we really appreciate if you gave us a subscription. And then obviously you'll be updated when other videos of ours go live, and you can do that quite easily by clicking here. Hope to see you soon.